if you have a smartphone, and I'm willing to bet you do,
Yeah, yeah.
there are multiple identities buried in that phone that at most may be associated with you as a user, but they aren't you. Because if they were, when you got rid of your phone, why does that identity continue to go with it? Why was the address of the device within that phone stay with
Yeah.
the phone instead of stay with you? So it's not you. It's
I
associated
see
with the
that now.
device.
So my device, my smartphone has its own identity. It could be
Mhm,
unique, a unique MAC address or
mhm.
a model or a serial number that uniquely identifies that device. I see that.
Exactly. That expands to, so let's see what that universe looks like. Cars. If your car's less than 10 years old, it probably has its own identity that you might not even be aware of. But all the nice features that say, if your airbags deflate, we're automatically going to call, that's not you. That's the car's identity making that happen. It may use your phone, but it's still the car's identity. When there's a problem that needs to be diagnosed, when the diagnostic component's plugged into the car, the first thing it does is say, what's the identity of the car and all the different components so that I can set my baseline to determine are things working correctly.
Yeah, that's a good one because now we're seeing identity in that context that now when I put that probe in there, it needs to know what kind of car it is. It needs to know its components so it can tell me what's really going on with the car. So identity is not just used for security, but identity also sets context as well.
Yes, and it has to be used within context.
And it
So
has to be
out
used
of
within the
context,
context.
identity is meaningless. I'm Fred, I'm Bob, I'm Elaine. It doesn't matter because out of context, it makes no difference.
Very, very, very fascinating. So how does that work in the virtual world, in the world of software and where because normally when I think of identity, I'm thinking of identity of an entity like a car or a human, but software, I have multiple copies of the same software all over the place. Does each copy get its own identity, or is it just the version of that software that's its identity? How does that all work?
So that depends. Not every bit of software has an identity. It'll have components. It's something that's recognizable, but you could have identical copies. And the root of the word identical obviously comes from the same place. And it
Yeah.
won't have any effect because the context expects software and nothing else. However, if you want to say, I have a licensed version of this software and making an identical copy of it won't work, that would be because it has some sort of digital rights management or whatever it's called by the vendor that says, here's the identity of the software. Here's when it was created. Here's when it was compiled. Here's when that was locked in. Here's whether it's as simple as a checksum or a digital signature that has to
Like a hash
get
or something,
the other
right?
the other part of the certificate. Yeah. So you can have identity with software. It makes perfect sense.